writing. So, if you can tell a complete story, introducing your protagonist and your antagonist, the conflict, which is what? What is the conflict in your comic strip? What is the conflict? I need everybody to focus and track. Put your pencils down. We're going to talk a little bit, and then you can create. What is the conflict, Tessa? Problem in the story. So you need to introduce also your theme, your setting. The setting can be introduced very quickly. You don't have to spend a lot of time on either of those. And you don't have to explain the theme. You explain the theme by what you are talking about in your comic. So you don't have to come and say, you don't have to state in your comic, my theme is. No, you should be able to create a theme so that the readers know what it is that you are telling us. That is what good writers do. No, they don't say. So do you think in Charlotte's Web, E.B. White's going to say the theme of my story is? No. We're just going to know because it is awesome writing. So you need to show us the conflict, and there needs to be a resolution. What does that mean of the conflict? Owen. Yes, something. The conflict has to be solved, meaning the good guy wins or the bad guy wins. That I guess up to you. And maybe it doesn't even have to be good versus evil. It doesn't have to be good, bad, but you do have a protagonist, which is your main character, and an antagonist that is a difficult person for your protagonist to deal with. So those are the things that you have to tell in your comic strip. If you can do one with one sheet of the template, that's fine. If you need 3 or 4, that's fine. But it has to be a completed story from beginning to end. You can't just, poof, it disappears and the story just disintegrates and we're all thinking, what happened? You know, a good story, whether it be a story like Charlotte's Web or a comic strip, you have a beginning, you have a conflict, and then you have a resolution, and then an end. And we all live happily ever after. Which would be a what? What stories always end and they lived happily ever after? Munchine? Fairy tales. Which you are going to be doing next. Something to think about. Now it doesn't have to be all mushy mushy and love. Doesn't have to be about a princess and Prince Charming and he rescues her. The damsel in distress. No. So anyways, that is what we're doing next. So the comic strip, though, you have this week to figure it, to write it, and then it's going to be handed in next Monday. So I'm going to give you all this week, the weekend, and then Monday it's turned in. All right? Any questions? Helen?
Are we doing that with this?
Oh, I have a ton of those. No, this is practice. This is not your final. I want you to get used to these blocks. I want you to get used to the dialogue bubbles. So don't invest a lot of time on this. This is a rough draft. So I would not be adding a lot of color and a lot of details to these. These should probably be in black and white. These should be very rough. This is a rough draft. Now, when you hand in your final copy, I want color. I want really good writing. I like that. I want onomatopoeia. What is that again? Emma.
It's like the sound of something that's happening.
The word and the sound are the same. Boom. Wham. Kablam. Zoom. All those. That's onomatopoeia. Comic books are notorious for that. So when I say I want really good writing, when you are writing in those dialogue bubbles, your handwriting must be neat. Otherwise, I am not going to be able to read it. And quite frankly, you're not going to be able to read it. So when you do your final draft, I am going to expect really good handwriting. You are going to take your time, and you're going to do good handwriting. Comic books must be very precise, neat. Otherwise, there is no way anyone's going to be able to read it. Luke,
When are we gonna start our real draft?
when are we going to start what?
Our real comic book draft.
You can start that now. Last week was practice. I gave you that template for you to practice on, to get a feel for what it's like to do a comic book. Now, you are not going to use the ones that you are working on now for your final. That is a rough draft. That was practice. So if you need to do more practice before you start working on your final draft, please do so. If you are done, if you feel like you're confident that you have got everything figured out, you may start working on your final draft. Yes, boy.
Do we have to be at a comic?
What's that?
Do we have to be at a comic book?
Does it have to be a real comic book?
I mean, do we really have to read it?
I have not decided. I mean, if you have to get up in front of the class and read it? I don't know. I haven't decided. I don't know if we'll have enough time. But I certainly would like for you all to share that. But we'll see. Any other questions? So when you start your real comic, you are going to start over and get a new template. Do not use the practice sheets for your real comic. That is not what I want. You have to start over. This is your rough draft. Just like when you write a paper. You have a lot of rough drafts. You have the minis. This was your mini. So does anyone else need another template? All right. Any questions? Yes.
Are we using like those templates for our draft, final draft?
Yes. Yes. I would like for you to use these templates for your final draft as well, because that gives you, otherwise it's impossible to make it neat. These are all very neat. These are great ways to make a comic. All comic books have very precise blocks to put your drawings in. Any other questions? Raise your hand if you need a template, and I will come around and you can choose which one you want to use. Now, you can use more than one of these templates. You can use this template for one page. You can use this template for another page. I don't care. Or you can use, if you have a favorite one to use it for your entire thing. This is your creative process. So I have this one. That one? Okay. I know, sometimes they're hard to get apart. There you go. Keep your hands raised and then I will come around to you. Now, these big blocks, now also, right, I will give you time to write.